I welcome you to Bible Times. I'm Willard Pless. And today we want to talk about Nebuchadnezzar's 7 times before his return. And we're given this in the book of Daniel. If you go to the book of Daniel, I believe in chapter 4, that it talks about the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had about the tree with reaching into the heavens, and about it being cut down and the stump left, and Daniel gave the interpretation to Nebuchadnezzar what this meant. And Daniel told him he'd be taken down 7 times. And you might say, well, now what does that mean? Does that mean 7 years, or what does that mean? And that's what we want to talk about. We've been looking at this and thinking about it, and so we want to talk about it a little bit and talk about the 7 times before he would come back, return. And when we start looking at this, we know that Nebuchadnezzar was taken down. And then Belshazzar, his son, took his place. And he served, and then the next one was the Medes, because the Medes took over, and then we know that the Persians took over, and then we know that the Greeks took over, and then the Romans took over. And then America took over. And when you look at the statue that Nebuchadnezzar seen as well, you can look at the statue, and when the Americans took over, this is the feet. The Romans were the legs of iron, and the feet is when America came. And then we have the toes. And we learned that that this is when Nebuchadnezzar would be revealed to the world, that he would sprout out of the toes, the 10 toes. And Daniel gives this in chapter 7 of his book about, he talks about the horns. It's the toes or the horns. The Bible uses both, that he sprouts out of the toes. And that was President Trump when he come in 2017. But we know in 2021 he was taken down. But in 2025 he come back. See, when President Trump was taken down, that was the 7th time. And when he come back in 2025, see, this is Nebuchadnezzar return, as the Bible gives us. I don't know if you've looked at this or thought about it, but that's what the 7 times means. It's not a year, or it's a time. See, the first time was taken by the Medes. And then the third time, or the second time, was the Persians. And then the third time was the Greeks. And the fourth time was the Romans. The fifth time was the feet, which is America. America was divided. The government was divided between Democrats and Republicans. And then the toes was the 6th time, when Nebuchadnezzar was revealed. And Paul talked about that in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, that there'd be a great falling away, and the man of perdition would be revealed. The man of sin. That's Nebuchadnezzar. But see, the person Nebuchadnezzar did not return. The Nebuchadnezzar is President Trump that came in 2017. This is when Israel was back in the land for 69 years. And Daniel talked about that in chapter 9, verse 25. When the Messiah, the Prince, would show up, which would be when Israel was back in the land for 69 years. And then in verse 26, it talks about when Israel's going to cut him off. And that will happen in November, beginning November the 22nd. That'll take place. See, we're looking here. I don't know if you've ever looked about this or thought about it, but when President Trump was taken down, that was the 7th time that was given to Nebuchadnezzar. See, President Trump is really Nebuchadnezzar's return. And he's bringing Babylon back. I don't know if you've looked at this or not, but when you read the Bible, you realize that Babylon's going to be back. That you can read about it there in Revelation. That not only Nebuchadnezzar's going to return, but Babylon's going to return. See, the Nebuchadnezzar is the man, but the Babylon is the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar. And the kingdom of President Trump is Babylon. I know it's been taught that he's going to make America great again, but he's not making America great again. He's making Babylon great again. He's bringing Babylon back to this world. And this is the kingdom that Satan is going to get built in this world just before Jesus returns. And Joel gave prophecy about some things that would happen just before the great noble day of the Lord's return. And he said the sun would be turned to darkness and the moon be turned to blood. The sun was turned to darkness on April the 8th in 2024. And then when we began 2025, on March the 14th, we had a blood moon. And when we come to September the 22nd, this is when 5785, according to the Jewish calendar, is going to end. And we're going to have another blood moon here. Looks like on September the 7th, 8th, there's going to be another blood moon, but it'll not be seen by the Americans, but it'll be seen by those in Europe and Asia and in that area. I hope you're seeing what the Bible is teaching. We're here. We're at the end of days. And when we come to March the 19th in 2026, this is when the 7th millennial is supposed to begin. We're in the 6th millennial now, which had been shortened for 215 years. The 6th millennial started in 1240 AD, and we'll go for 785 years, and we come to that end with a Jewish calendar as they've got it set for September the 22nd. But see, it doesn't really end until we come to March the 19th. If you look at the true Bible calendar, look at the month of Nisan. See, Israel's got the year starting in the month of Tishrei, but the Bible doesn't start the new year till the month of Nisan, and that comes on March the 19th in 2026 here. So we're getting as plain as we possibly can, and we're wanting people to wake up and realize what's going on and talk to Jesus and let him in your heart, and he'll start leading you and showing you and giving you understanding to where you will not be deceived and swallowed up in this Satan's kingdom that he's getting set up here, that is coming to its climax. When we get to September the 22nd, see, this is when this thing comes to climax. And this is when the great whore judgment begins. And it'll start September the 22nd, and it'll go on to March the 19th. And this is when the 7th millennium is supposed to begin. And I hope you're making peace with Jesus and talking to him and let him in your heart. And we're here to give this thing as plain as we possibly can, because we don't want anybody to be destroyed, be deceived, and caught up in this evil world and evil thing that's going on with Satan's leadership, and being deceived and being a part of this kingdom that's coming, that the Bible talks about, that's going to come to its climax by the time we get to September the 22nd here in 2025. And I hope you'll call on Jesus, talk to him, and get him in your heart and begin to walk with him, because that's the important thing. Because I hope you'll do that, and stay with us on these studies. We're going to be talking about more. And so God bless you, and you have a great day.